Okay, Poran, I've heard it's very difficult in this country to achieve change. So what's the magic wand that you would put over this? Do you want to sit here and talk about it?
Well, it was very interesting listening to Richard and Tony there. And I think one of the things, of course, which come up time and time again is the need for collaboration. And we are in a world which is, we all know, changing very quickly and increasing the rate of change, particularly in terms of technology. And it's true, actually, some of the ways we procure our buildings and our cities are now probably outdated, and we need to find new ways of doing that. Now, that raises questions for us in terms of, what are the contractual relationships that we need for that? Because, there can be issues around that. What are the issues about where we spend time, and how we pay for that time in collaboration? That's not necessarily always recognized, that a little bit more time spent early on thinking through getting all the stakeholders together before finally delivering, that isn't always recognized by developers, say. So I think that culture change has to come through, and we are getting more and more technologies now, in terms of project management technologies, collaborative platforms, which enable us to start thinking about that. But that will require not just a change in terms of the way we think about building our cities, but in terms of some of the legal structures in contractual terms of how we deliver that. And I think those will come through into the future. I think another big point that we've found that works well for us is in some of our projects where we've delivered as a developer, is to make sure absolutely everyone on the project knows what you're talking about. Now, this came through from one of my colleagues, Pete Halsell, who used to run his own construction company. But what he said was, in the same way as when we introduced health and safety, it was no good having it as a report on a shelf. You had to make it the culture of the company or the project. And that means inducting every single person in health and safety and making health and safety the part of everyone's job. And in fact, so in our own projects, we make sure absolutely every person understands what One Planet Living means, with some principles that are associated with that. And that really helps in terms of delivery, gets on board ideas from everyone involved in the project, and help creates that coherence in terms of delivery. So I think that that is something which I think we need to move on to, is make sustainability as fundamental a part of everyone's job as health and safety awareness.
I'm going to see if there's some questions in the room. Anybody got a question you'd like to ask? Lady at the back there, please. Thank you. Can you say your name and question, single question, item question, please?
My name is Fatima. I'm from Fairfoot International, and I was just wondering if you could comment about the social dimensions of sustainable cities. And I know in the last session, David Robinson mentioned the riots that occurred last year, and I think this is particularly salient considering the Olympic Village and Newham, and I just wondered if you could comment on that. Social
implications of sustainability, sustainable cities. Who's going to have a go at that?
Well, I thought I mentioned that in the speech that I've given, that we've got to look broader than what we're building and where it is, but the impact that has across the communities where it is happening, so that there is employment policies there, there are salary policies there, or hourly rate policies there, there are training, and there is apprenticeship opportunities. No business and no local authority works in isolation, and they've got to recognise that you have a responsibility for the wider social environment which is around you. Excuse me.
And you mentioned the whole issue of, cities which work technically but don't work socially.
Well, I think when you're talking collaboration, the interests of the local authorities or the cities, whoever they may be, is the welfare, or should be the welfare and the health of their constituents. We have spent probably the last 30 years throwing up metal boxes in offices and hoping people will come. We've never strategically said, if we put this here, and it's a green environment, it's a low energy environment, we are looking to entice this sort of company to come here. Why would they want to come here? not is if we've got a room, they'll come and do it, and it's cheap. We're now finding in today's society, people want to move to a specific sort of location that gives a specific type of energy renewable or meets their comp. There has to be something in it for everybody. So a local authority will not just give planning permission. I mean, the local authority we're talking to, there's 2 big developments. There's lots of homes, but there's no new homes, but there's no jobs to go to. The infrastructure there is not there to support a growing business. Now, with the concept that we've bought there is a business park around it, but the energy generation, being a renewable energy generation, is based on the CO2 being used for hydroponics. So you create businesses from generating the energy.
Okay, thank you. Can I move on? Any other questions in the room, please? Paul, any other observations?
Local authorities who spend a tremendous amount of money in London and across the country, we've actually got to come into the 21st century as well. The way in which our specifications for building development are drawn up, we need to be more imaginative, and we need to address the issues rather than say we need 1,500 homes here, how are you going to build them, or what tender will you give us? Our tender evaluation processes needs to be looked at. You know, it's not just who can provide it, they call it best value, you know, which is the cheapest bottom line. Socioeconomic costings are not taken into account, and they should be. And we need to be more imaginative across the piece. There is European legislation which is a constraint, but we have to be ambitious. We perhaps only achieve 90% of our ambition, but if you aim low, you'll achieve nothing.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Another quick question from anybody? Or Puran, do you want to sort of your view on what's been said?
I think returning to the question really in terms of, you know, the riots and equity, I think, you know, that's going to be a major challenge for us in the coming years. London does feel as though it's getting a less equal place, and I think it's all our responsibility as citizens in London, you know, to really change that culture. You know, we have to value, of course, the businesses which bring in money, but not at all cost, you know. So you know, whether we talk about bankers or other, you know, high-paid executives and you know, looking at creating an environment to attract these companies around the world, I think we should do that in the balance of saying actually making sure London is a great place for everyone to live in. And technologies can help us, but I think we can't rely solely on technology either, you know, as Tony was saying. We have to look at creating great places for people to live. And one worry at the moment for all of us, I think, should be that as technology is rapidly progressing, where's the place for the human being in future? It just struck me just a couple of months ago, you know, in my local supermarket where they've started to replace more and more of the checkouts with those automated checkouts. I just think, where are people? You know, not all of us can be, you know, be creatives or entrepreneurs and all the rest of it. Where, you know, where are the jobs going to be for people?
And more than that, for many old people, that was their only social interaction of the day, was to go shopping, and now there's nobody there to talk to because they've got to do it all electronically.
So we've got some big challenges, but I think,
I speak with personal interest on that topic, okay?
as do I.
Can I say, we've also got to grow up and recognise that a new building is not regeneration. Correct. It is a new building. And too much of the city is built for the glorification of the architect, and it contributes nothing to the local environment. My office is in one. And you can look at the skyline of London and say, what's it contributing? What's the positive value that it's added?
We're risking upsetting half the people in the room. I'm going to say, I hate the
period,
Shard.
you'd be happy. Well, I love it. It's got a shape to it. It says something. You know, look at across the London and these hideous concrete blocks or odd shapes that are 2/3 usable, 1/3 not usable, you know, you have to raise the question.
Right, okay, fine. We better stop that one in that case.
I don't see what- and housing associations have got a major responsibility as well.
Yeah,
Let's rope you
that's a
in.
dig at me because he knows I chair one out in the East End. But and I think, you know, addressing your point, that's a big issue in terms of the social cohesion around all, not just offices but housing and how you get the schools and everything. So I would agree with you. Where are the jobs? Where are going to be the jobs for the 2,600 families who will move into the Olympic Village next year? And that's a real challenge in an area of massive deprivation and unemployment. And where are the school places as well? So, you know, sometimes we get some things right, but not the whole picture. Now, I've heard lots of things said here, thinking, planning ahead, altering the regulatory framework, but also a theme that's been very strong in the last 2 days, which is about collaboration. And that we're only going to solve some of these issues by working together, and that's going to be cross the three sectors, as you might say. And we've got to work together if we're actually going to make not just London, but all our cities in this country sustainable and actually play to this one planet world. So can I thank you very much, the three of you. High-powered collection of talent this afternoon. Best of luck for 2012 games. We're all going to be watching as soon as you can make the power work. Yeah. So we're all gunning for success.
It's going to be a great summer.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
No, that's quite all right.